Now welcome to a new iteration of Battle of the Heroes and Villains. As a lot of you know, for years I did a series where we would pick a character, we would vote and rank them, get a score, and then compare them to all the other characters we had done. I'll put those results on the screen now. But then YouTube decided to change how polls were done. Instead of 5 options, they limited it to 4 options, so I could no longer do it the same way I had been doing it all along, so that series fell apart. And now I'm going to try something a little different. I don't know if people are going to like this. I'm open to suggestions. I figured I'd try this first, and I'd try it with a very intriguing question. Anyway, the idea is to take 2 characters and to have them battle against each other for you to vote which one you think is the better character overall. And as was the case with the original Battle of the Heroes and Villains, it's kind of up to you to decide what you want to include or what you have or haven't seen or read, or to really decide the parameters for voting. And I will form some sort of rating system. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that yet. I may even have multiple battles each and every week and then have a culmination video at the end of the week where we go over all of them. I don't know. Again, I'm open to suggestions. This is an initial idea that I hope I'll get some feedback on how to do it. All that said, the first character battle, or the first 2 characters we are going to have compete or fight against each other, is Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker. And so getting right to the results now, and I will be reading and responding to some of the comments left on this poll. But it turns out Luke Skywalker beats Anakin 54% to 46%, which has me surprised. I thought Anakin was going to win this by a long shot. Not because I think Anakin is the better character, or that Luke is the better. I'm kind of staying neutral here. Though I think a lot of you know I'm a huge Luke fan, and he is the one I would vote for. But anytime I see polls online asking who's the better character, it does tend to be Anakin who wins, like, everything. He has always voted very high. I don't know if that is because that generation tends to be on the internet more than us older generation, the OT generation, or if people just really feel Anakin is the better character. Either way, in this particular case, Luke Skywalker again beats Anakin 54 to 46% and takes our first victory in the new Battle of the Heroes and Villains.
Most impressive.
And now we're going to move on to some comments, but once again, I just got to say thank you to everybody who takes the time to vote in these polls or leaves comments. A lot of you left some really well thought out comments and really gave this some serious consideration, not just, oh, I like Anakin, so I'm voting Anakin, or vice versa. So thank you for that. Obviously, I can't read all the comments, but I will read a few. But getting right to it, the top rated comment comes to us from Shane Utar, who said, "These are my favorite 2 characters of all time. It really depends on the day who I prefer. In canon, Anakin is more complex, but Luke is who you aspire to be like." And I will agree that in the canon, the current canon, the Disney canon, yeah, Anakin is probably the more complex character. He does have a whole animated series. Well, it's not his animated series per se, but he is one of the stars of the Clone Wars, of course. Whereas Luke doesn't have anything like that. Yes, he's in a lot of comic books, a lot of the new Marvel stuff, but I don't know how much depth that really adds to his character, to be completely honest with you. A lot of it is kind of fluff and filler and just inconsequential stories for the sake of stories, for the sake of selling comic books. So yeah, if we're just going new canon, I think I have to give the nod to Anakin over Luke. And that's mainly thanks to the Clone Wars animated series, which, I mean, that's 7 seasons to explore the character. It adds the Ahsoka dynamic, which, yeah, maybe gets a little tired, or the character of Ahsoka has become tired by now. But I do think it is interesting to give him a Padawan to try to teach him how to let go, which doesn't work out so well. Though you could also make an argument that the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, the original Clone Wars micro-series, was actually better in some ways at exploring Anakin's character and showing the changes between episodes 2 and 3, or at least is more concise and more on point. Either way, when we take Clone Wars into account, either one or both, yeah, I guess Anakin is the better character in that regard. Alright, and moving on, we now have a comment here from Night King, who said, "Since I've got into the EU, it's definitely Luke." And if we do indeed include the EU, I gotta agree that he is a thoroughly explored character, and not just, oh, he becomes super awesome and super powerful, so that's cool, he's a good character. No, there is a lot going on with Luke, between his nephew falling to the dark side, his wife being killed by said nephew, having a son of his own, being a father, husband, all of that, plus building a new Jedi Order, dealing with his friends, dealing with all the threats in the galaxy. Luke has a lot on his plate when it comes to the EU, and it's all handled, for the most part, handled very well, I think. And he truly does become a very fascinating character there, and I don't just say that because I love the guy from the OT. I'm saying that because he's a great character there, and comparing him to Anakin, it's not easy. I give all kinds of props to Anakin for being a great character as well, but if we go EU, it is Luke Skywalker. Next comment then comes to us from No Playster, who said, Luke, so long as we ignore the non-Disney canon trilogy. And yeah, if we take out the EU and sub in the Disney trilogy, the sequel trilogy, it goes back to Anakin. I don't think Luke is handled exceptionally well in the sequels, to put it mildly. Some people really love what was done with him. That's fine. I don't. I don't think he needed to find himself again. I think it diminishes his initial story. He already has gone through a hell of a lot of crap in the OT. He didn't need to just lose his way and almost kill his nephew. Even though he does, yes, have problems with his nephew in the EU, which I was just talking about. Anyway, yes, when you sub out the EU and sub in the Disney trilogy, the sequel trilogy, yes, Anakin is the better character, I think, then. Okay, and let's move on now to this comment from Bruh Moment, who said, this really depends for me. Should we count Darth Vader, canon and non-canon, under Anakin, or are we counting Darth Vader as an entirely separate character? And whether or not we include him depends on a certain point of view, I suppose. A strong case can be made that Darth Vader should be lumped in with Anakin, and I think a strong case could also be made that he should be separate. Now, in the original Battle of the Heroes and Villains, we did consider them to be the same character, so if you want to, take to the comments below and tell me how we should handle it this time. Are Anakin and Vader one and the same, or should we separate them? Alright, and one more comment here, and it comes to us from GG Blaster, who said, Anakin's relatable. He shows how we all tend to fall to our flaws despite our good intentions. Luke's inspirational. He tells us that it's possible to rise from our flaws and become a better person. And I agree with this take. I think Anakin is more of a cautionary tale, while Luke, as you say, is more of an inspirational tale. Anakin also is a reminder that no matter how bad we have been in our lives, no matter how many wrongs we have done, there's always that choice. As I say, there's always the choice to still do right, even if it doesn't mean we are totally forgiven and redeemed and all our sins are erased, because I don't think just because Anakin comes back in the end and destroys the Emperor that everything he has done before is forgiven. As I've said many times before, he is simply redeemed in the eyes of his son, and in that moment I'm sure that is the only thing that matters to Vader or to Anakin, that his son got to see the real Anakin Skywalker. But anyway, again, similar characters in some ways, absolutely, but vastly different ones in other ways, and the stories and the tales and what they're meant to represent are very different. Again, Anakin, cautionary tale, Luke, inspirational. Alright, well I think that is going to be all I got for you this time for this return to the Battle of the Heroes and Villains. Now it is your turn to take to the comments below, and you can tell me if you like this kind of new format, even though it's not fully explored yet. I'm going to figure out that rating system, or you can suggest a rating system, some sort of ELO system perhaps, like the use in chess could be done. Maybe something else, I don't know. Or you can suggest two characters to do battle next. They can be whatever characters you want. They can be either Anakin or Luke again versus somebody else, or two brand new ones. They can be related characters, kind of like these two, or just two off-the-wall, completely different characters. And what you're going to do is you're just going to reply to the comment. Other people can vote with a thumbs up, and whoever wins that, whoever gets the most thumbs up, will be the characters we do next in another poll. But anyway, whatever you choose to do, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time. Thanks for watching.